Hey everybody, Joe here. Just want to give a quick update from the road. I'm here in Berlin. Ich bin hier in Berlin. It's one of the few things I know how to say in German. Ich verstehe nur ein bisschen Deutsch. Anyway, I got here last Saturday. Today is Friday. And then on Tuesday, I went to Rammstein. And actually, I made another video about that. So if you want to see my day on Tuesday and see what I did at the Rammstein concert and how all that went down, I'll put the link in the comments or in the description or somewhere. Behind me, by the way, the Berlin Wall, or what's left of it. Today I went on a walking tour. The tour started at Brandenburg Gate, which is one of the most famous places, I think, in all of Germany, and of course here in Berlin. And just by luck, it survived the bombing and the Battle of Berlin and all of World War II stuff. It didn't get blown to bits. Most of the stuff around it got blown to bits. There's a hotel there that got blown to bits. It's called the Hotel Alden, which was rebuilt after World War II. And then later on, Michael Jackson came there, and that's where he dangled his son, I think. It might have been Blanket Jackson, maybe. So he dangled his son out of that window right here in Berlin. After leaving the Brandenburg Gate, we crossed from the east side into the west side. So we crossed past where the Berlin Wall used to be. There's a memorial nearby to those who tried to cross the Berlin Wall, and unfortunately they died. So you can see some of the victims who died trying to escape from East Berlin. And right near that monument, kind of right across the street, is the Reichstag, which caught fire right before Hitler came to power, kind of tied in with how he came to power. So we learned some of that history. And then a little bit farther on, there's a Soviet memorial there, 1941 to 1945. 1941 was when the Germans attacked the Soviets. So before that, you had World War II going on, but they were technically on the same side. And then Hitler decided to attack the Soviets. And a lot of Soviets died during World War II. I've heard estimates anywhere between 24 million to 27 million Soviet soldiers died. So there's a memorial here in Berlin. It's also a grave site. After that, we arrived at the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe. These big blocks there. And the architect who built it intentionally didn't say what those blocks represent, because he didn't want to tell people what to think. He didn't want people to come here and get his understanding of the situation. He wanted people to come here and to be able to do their own self-reflection and to come away with their own thoughts. Then we arrived at an inconspicuous parking lot not far from there, which was actually the site of Hitler's bunker. So of course it is what it is. It's just some random parking lot. But that's where Hitler spent the final days of the war. He married Eva Braun, and then they killed themselves together in that bunker. And then his body was burned right in that same area. After that, we walked about 5 minutes and came to a piece of propaganda showing what life is like in the East Berlin utopia and how good it is and why people should stay there and enjoy it. And then we arrived to the area where I'm at now. This is the Topography of Terror Museum here. And this area is where the Berlin Wall is still intact. And you can come here and you can kind of get an idea, if you use your imagination, what it might have been like. Because we have this East Berlin government building behind us. So that's right beyond the wall. It looks kind of formidable. And so I'm standing on the west side of the wall. And then immediately on the other side of the wall, there would have been kind of the no man's land area. There would have been dogs in there and maybe some soldiers and some barbed wire and stuff like that. That if you did try to cross the wall from the east, then you'd be in the no man's land. You'd have to try to go through all that stuff. And then there'd be another wall, which is the one here. So you'd have to go over that to get to the west. I just heard a story on this tour about a East German official who brought his son and his wife to work and put them in the bathroom and then said that the bathroom was out of order, put a sign on there, and they waited until everyone went home. And then they did a zip line off the roof. They attached a cable to a flagpole that was up there. And then on the other side, on this side of the wall here, this is West Germany, one of his friends backed a truck up and they threw the cable over and they attached the cable to that truck. And then the truck drove forward to make the cable taut. And then all three of them did a zip line off the top. Meanwhile, there's East German snipers watching this happen. And they were interviewed later and asked, why didn't you do what you're supposed to do? And they thought that this guy seemed really well trained and there would be no way that anyone would try to escape from an East German government building over top of the wall. So they thought that maybe he was kind of like a East German spy, kind of like James Bond or something. Down the street from the topography of terror, we have Checkpoint Charlie. The original checkpoint and the original building's not there anymore, but they've recreated it so you can get an idea of what Checkpoint Charlie used to look like. The tour cost about $22 or $23, and it took us about 2.5 hours to walk around today here in Berlin, where there's a lot of history and obviously a lot to think about. So I think that's going to end the video. Like I said, it's just kind of a quick recap of some of the stuff I've been doing here in Germany. As always, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Have you been to Deutschland? Have you been to Berlin? Feel free to let me know, or as always, just feel free to say hello. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Auf Wiedersehen, vielen Dank, and see you soon.